James's fist hit the boardroom table. "You can't fucking do this!" His wife stood at the head of the table. His black wife. The one who was supposed to be home in a hoodie. Not here in a $10,000 suit. Not here as CEO. "Sit down, Mr. Davidson." Her voice was ice. His hand shot to Amber's thigh, squeezed hard. His mistress. His beautiful white mistress, who gasped as his fingers dug in. Nicole, Ms. Washington. She opened her laptop. His entire world appeared on the screen behind her. Every lie, every stolen dollar, every email. Welcome to consequences. He was already destroyed. He just didn't know it yet. The door opened. James Davidson stood up. Everyone stood up. Amber's hand found his under the table, her nails digging into his palm, nervous, and he squeezed back. Possessive, reassuring. "We got this." Two lawyers walked in first. Then heels. Click, click, click. A black woman entered. James's brain cataloged her automatically. Late 40s, natural hair in some kind of updo. Navy suit that probably cost 10 grand. Diamond studs. No smile. She looked familiar, but he couldn't. She turned her head. Profile. That jawline. No. His hand went numb. Amber's nails were still digging in, but he couldn't feel them anymore. The woman walked to the head of the table, set down a laptop, looked up. Brown eyes met his. Nicole. "Good morning." That voice. His wife's voice. But wrong. All wrong. Where was the soft lilt? The apologetic tone? The way she always sounded like she was asking permission just to exist? "Please, sit." They sat. James didn't remember sitting. He was just suddenly in his chair, his heart trying to punch through his ribs. This wasn't Nicole. Nicole wore Howard hoodies. Nicole asked him if she could buy new office chairs for the foundation. Nicole said sorry when she breathed too loud. Nicole was... "I am Nicole Washington." Washington, her maiden name. CEO and sole proprietor of WLF Capital. As of 9 a.m. this morning, I am majority shareholder and chairwoman of TechVantage Solutions. The silence was so complete, James could hear the blood in his ears. WLF. Washington Legacy Fund. No, 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 no. "I know you have questions. Let me address the obvious one." She still hadn't looked at him. Not really. "Yes, I am Mrs. Davidson. Or I was. Divorce papers were filed at 8:30 this morning." The male lawyer, white guy, expensive suit, stepped forward, dropped a manila envelope in front of James. James stared at it. "Nicole, Ms. Washington," her eyes cut to him. Finally. And there was nothing in them. "In this building, you will address me as Ms. Washington or ma'am. Clear?" His mouth opened. Nothing came out. "Good. Now let's discuss why we're here." She touched her laptop. The screen behind her lit up. Numbers. Spreadsheets. His numbers. His fraudulent numbers. TechVantage has been systematically defrauded for 3 years. The reports you've given shareholders are fiction. She paused. Very illegal fiction. Robert Chen made a choking sound. "Now, wait, Mr. Chen." Her voice dropped 20 degrees. "Your turn comes later. Right now, you listen." Chen shut up. 8 hours ago, James had been a king. The alarm, 5:45. He'd already been awake, running through his presentation. The new CEO was coming. Mystery buyer. He was ready. He was golden. His division showed 45% growth. He was untouchable. He'd showered, shaved, put on the Brioni suit, charcoal, $3,000. The Rolex Nicole had given him for their 10th anniversary. He'd looked good. He'd looked like power. Kitchen. Nicole at the island, hunched over her tablet. That northwestern hoodie with a coffee stain on the sleeve. Hair in a bun. No makeup. Coffee ready? Machine's on. He'd poured a cup. Big day. New CEO. Gonna be a bloodbath, but not for me. She'd looked up. Actually looked at him. Something in her eyes he couldn't read. James, we need to talk. About? The trust accounts. I've been going through the statements. There are discrepancies. Large ones. I called Arthur Vance last night. Arthur Vance. That ancient lawyer her dad had used. Seriously? Today? He'd set his cup down hard. Coffee sloshed. You want to talk about accounting? Today? It's not accounting, James. Money is missing. A lot of money. And some transfers go through companies I don't recognize. One has your college roommate's name. I don't have time for this. He'd walked past her. Whatever it is, it waits. James, please, this is serious. I think someone might be... He turned around, used his patient voice, the one for when she was being slow. Nicole, honey, listen. You're stressed about your little foundation, I get it. But that's what we pay Vance for. You don't need to worry about spreadsheets. That's not your thing. She'd stared at him. Let the professionals handle it, okay? You focus on your charity events, your centerpieces. He'd smiled, kissed her head. I'll be late tonight. Okay. Love you. Okay. He hadn't noticed she didn't say it back. Elevator. Car. He'd called Amber from the garage. Wear the white suit, the Chanel. I want you to make an impression. Amber had been waiting outside her building. White suit, blonde hair perfect, red lips. She'd slid into his Mercedes like she owned it. Morning, Mr. Davidson. His hand went to her thigh. High. Possessive. You ready? I'm ready to watch you own that room. Traffic had been light. Sun coming up. Gold on glass. He'd felt like a god. What do you think the new CEO will be like? Amber had asked. Doesn't matter. They need me. I'm untouchable. He'd meant it. Now, in the boardroom, Nicole touched her laptop again. Let's start simple. Mr. Chen, tell me about Apex Solutions. Chen's face went gray. Apex is one of our largest clients. $2.4 million annual revenue. Southern region. Managed by... Mr. Davidson, yes. Nicole clicked. New slide. Interesting company. 18 months as a client. Logistics software. Headquarters in Nashville. Pause. Except Apex Solutions doesn't exist. Explosion. Chen sputtering. David Sterling half standing. Patricia Blackwell's eyes widening. Impossible, Chen said. We have contracts, wire transfers. You have paperwork Mr. Davidson created. Wire transfers from a shell company registered to Marcus Chen. That's your college roommate, isn't it, James? Sigma Chi. UGA. James couldn't breathe. And where did Marcus's money come from? Next slide. Flowchart. Bank accounts. Routing numbers. His college roommate's name. His wife's trust fund. My personal inheritance, Nicole said. The Harriet Washington Memorial Trust, established by my father. A trust my husband had emergency access to. She turned, looked at him. You stole from me $2.4 million, laundered it through your frat brother, funneled it back to make yourself look successful. Click. Salary record. Amber Collins, Executive Strategy Consultant, $180,000. Then use that fake success to justify your mistress's salary. Amber gasped. Actual sound. Breaking. That's, James started. Don't. Nicole's voice cracked like a whip. Don't insult me further by lying. Click. Lease documents, Cartier receipts, flight records, Paris, first class. A conference that never happened. I have emails, James. So many emails. You didn't even encrypt them. Company email. Did you think IT doesn't keep records? Text appeared on screen, 10 feet high. His words. From jdavidson@techvantage.com to acollins@techvantage.com. Subject. Tonight. Can't wait. Nicole's at another charity thing. Probably picking napkin colors or whatever she does. God, sometimes I can't believe I married someone so limited. So basic. You get it, eh? You understand real business, real ambition. She's just furniture. Pretty furniture. But furniture. 8 p.m. Red dress. The room went silent. Another click. From jdavidson@techvantage.com to mthompson@techvantage.com. Subject. Q3 targets. Yeah, the wife's giving me grief about some trust fund bullshit. I swear I gave her one job, manage her dad's little charity, and she acts like it's Goldman Sachs. She doesn't understand business. Never will. At least, I don't have to bring her to client dinners anymore. Last time, the CEO from Stratford asked what she does, and she said, community outreach. I almost died. Had to explain she means charity. Thank God for Amber. That girl gets it. And she looks good on my arm. Not like, well, you know. James felt his stomach drop through the floor. Another click. From jdavidson@techvantage.com to acollins@techvantage.com. Subject. Last night you asked why I married Nicole. Honestly? Diversity optics. My last firm was getting heat for being too white, too male. I met her at a conference. Beautiful black woman, smart enough, came from some money. I thought, why not? Good for the image. Good for networking in certain circles. Plus, she's low maintenance. Doesn't ask questions. Doesn't challenge me. Just nods and smiles and plans her little fundraisers. I needed a wife who'd stay in her lane. I got one. Then I met you, and I realized what I actually deserved. The words hung there, glowing, monstrous. Amber had her hand over her mouth. Patricia Blackwell was staring at James like he was something she'd scraped off her shoe. Nicole's face was stone. Diversity optics, she repeated. Low maintenance. Furniture. She walked toward him, slow, measured. James shrank back. You married me because I'm black. Because having a black wife made you look progressive. Made you look evolved. She stopped right behind his chair. And then you spent 15 years treating me like the help. Her voice dropped, close to his ear, only for him. I have a PhD in economics from Wharton, James. I published in the Journal of Financial Economics. My dissertation on private equity restructuring won the Goldman Prize. But you introduced me at company events as my wife. She does charity work. You let your colleagues assume I was a housewife. You let them ask me, to my face, so what do you do? Like I was some bored trophy. She leaned closer. And when I'd start to answer, you'd cut me off, laugh, change the subject. Because you couldn't let them know, couldn't let anyone know that your black wife was smarter than you. James was shaking. Remember the Stratford dinner? Nicole's voice was silk over razors. Their CEO asked about my background. I started to tell him about my work at McKinsey. You interrupted, said I was being modest about my community involvement. He thought I ran a soup kitchen. She straightened up, addressed the room. I let him think that. I let all of you think that. Because my husband needed to be the smartest person in every room. And I loved him. So I made myself smaller. Patricia Blackwell spoke for the first time. Nicole, Ms. Washington, I tried to tell you, 3 years ago, at the Christmas party. Nicole nodded. You did. You said, Patricia's voice caught. You said you deserved better than a man who introduced you to clients as his better half, and then spent the whole night explaining your own job to you. I remember. I told you he called you his chocolate princess to the sales team, like you were a dessert, a novelty. James's face was on fire. I told you, Patricia continued, her voice getting stronger, that I'd worked with men like him my whole career. White men who marry black women as accessories, who love the idea of us, but hate when we have ideas. Nicole's eyes were bright, not tears, rage. You were right, Patricia. I should have listened. She turned back to James. But I didn't. I thought, maybe I was being sensitive. Maybe I was imagining things. Maybe the problem was me. Her laugh was bitter. God, the number of times you told me I was playing the race card when I pointed out how your colleagues treated me. Click. Another email. From J. Davidson at TechVantage to D. Stewart at techvantage.com. Subject: Sensitivity training. This mandatory bias training is bullshit. I'm married to a black woman. I can't be racist. I literally sleep with diversity. Nicole wants me to go anyway. Says it's important to listen and learn. Jesus. This is why I don't discuss work with her. She doesn't get it. Too emotional. Always making everything about race. At least Amber doesn't pull that card when I correct her work. The room was dead silent. Amber stood up suddenly, chair screeching. I didn't know. Ms. Washington, I swear to God, I didn't know he was stealing. He told me everything was approved. He said, Sit down, Miss Collins. Amber sat. You didn't know? Nicole's eyebrow arched. You didn't wonder why a married man bought you a luxury condo? Why you made $180,000 with 2 years' experience and a BA from Georgia State? I thought, I worked hard. I prepared presentations. My assistant prepared those presentations. My team did that work. You put your name on it. Nicole's voice was surgical. Tell me, Miss Collins, when clients asked for your credentials, what did you say? Amber's mouth opened, closed. You said you were James's protege, his discovery. You let them think your success came from him. Nicole leaned forward. Did it ever occur to you to ask why he never mentioned his wife? Why you never met her? He said you were separated. He lied. He said you had an arrangement. He lied. He said, Amber's voice broke. He said you didn't understand him, that you were cold, that I what, Miss Collins? Nicole's voice was soft, dangerous. Amber looked down. That you only cared about his money. The irony hung in the air like poison. Nicole laughed, actually laughed, cold and bitter. My money, Miss Collins. The condo you live in? My inheritance. The Cartier bracelet you're wearing? My trust fund. The Paris trip, the Michelin dinners, the designer bags, all of it. Mine. She clicked again. Complete financial forensics. Every dollar traced. James didn't have money. James had access to my money. My late father, Harold Washington, wasn't running a little community foundation. He was one of the original angel investors in Google, in Amazon, in Tesla. When he died 6 years ago, he left me $840 million in diversified assets. The number landed like a bomb. Chen's face went white. Sterling's mouth dropped open. Even Amber looked shocked. But I let James think it was a few million, Nicole continued. Let him think I was managing a modest charity. Because I wanted, God help me, I wanted him to love me for me, not my money. Her voice hardened. Turns out he loved neither. She walked back to the head of the table. WLF Capital, Washington Legacy Fund, manages $2 billion in assets. I've been the CEO for 6 years, running it from my charity office downtown, which wasn't a charity office. It was a private executive suite. Patricia was smiling now, actually smiling. Every day, Nicole said, I woke up at 5 a.m., managed international portfolios, made 8-figure acquisition decisions, restructured failing companies. Then I came home, put on a hoodie, pretended to be confused by spreadsheets, asked my husband for permission to spend my own money. She looked at James. I made myself invisible, made myself stupid, made myself small, because you needed to be big. James found his voice. You can't just, this is revenge, this is business. Nicole's voice was ice. You taught me that. Remember? Business isn't personal. Success requires ruthlessness. Sentiment has no place in the boardroom. She clicked. Acquisition documents appeared. TechVantage was over-leveraged and vulnerable. Inflated metrics, fraudulent revenue. I bought it at 60 cents on the dollar. I'll restructure, clean out the corruption, triple its value in 18 months. She smiled. Perfect acquisition. Textbook. Lean forward. But you want the personal part, James? The personal part is watching you realize exactly who you underestimated. She turned to Chen. Mr. Chen, you're fired. You signed off on fraudulent accounts. Either incompetent or complicit. Either way, you're done. Security will escort you out. Chen opened his mouth. Nothing came. Mr. Sterling, you approved marketing budgets that funded James's affair. Also fired. Sterling stood up. You can't. I own 51% of this company. I can do whatever I want. Security appeared. 2 guards. They moved toward Chen and Sterling. Patricia, Nicole's voice softened. You warned me 3 years ago. Told me I deserved better. You were the only one who saw me. Really saw me. Pause. You're promoted to COO, effective immediately. $400,000 salary, full benefits, and I want you to help me build what this company should have been all along. Patricia stood up slowly. Thank you, Ms. Washington. Thank you for trying to save me from myself. The 2 black women looked at each other. Something passed between them. Understanding. Solidarity. Survival. Nicole turned back to James. You're not fired. His head snapped up, hope flickering. Firing you is mercy. You don't get mercy. She walked to him, stood over him. Your new position is Compliance Auditor, Level 1, Basement Archives. You'll catalog every fraudulent transaction you created. Build the criminal case against yourself. Every day, you'll come to this building that I own. Park in the general lot. Your executive privileges are revoked. And remember who you dismissed. She nodded to the lawyer. Mr. Davidson is also being served with divorce papers. The prenup he insisted on is void due to criminal activity. Marital assets will be divided equitably. Nicole smiled. Except there are no marital assets. Everything was mine. The lawyer placed more documents on the table. The Mercedes is a company lease, revoked. The Buckhead House is owned by Washington Legacy Fund. You have 24 hours to vacate. Country club membership, paid through fraudulent accounts. Banned. Platinum Amex, authorized user on my account. Cancelled. James's voice came out strangled. I have nothing? You have about $300 in your checking account. I suggest a motel you can afford. She gathered her laptop. Oh, and Miss Collins? Nicole looked at Amber. You have a choice. Cooperate with the FBI investigation, testify against James, accept termination with severance, or be named as co-conspirator. You have 5 minutes to clear your desk either way. Amber was crying, mascara running. I didn't know. I swear I didn't. You didn't ask. There's a difference. Nicole headed for the door, stopped. Actually, that's not true. You didn't want to know. Because knowing would have meant admitting what you were. What was I? Amber whispered. Complicit. Nicole looked at James one last time. Welcome to consequences, Mr. Davidson. She walked out, heels clicking. Patricia followed her. The door closed. Security moved toward Channon Sterling. They went quietly. Another guard appeared at the door. Mr. Davidson, you need to come with me. James stood on shaking legs, looked at Amber. She was staring at him. Mascara tracks on her face, hatred in her eyes. You said you loved me, she hissed. You said we'd run this company together. You said... You used me, just like you used her, except she was smart enough to destroy you, and I was dumb enough to believe you. She grabbed her purse, walked past him, whispered as she passed. I hope they put you under the jail. Then she was gone. James stood alone in the boardroom, the screen behind him still glowing. His emails, his lies, his theft, all of it exposed. The guard cleared his throat. Sir, we need to go. James followed him. Legs not working right, vision blurring. The walk was endless. Past the executive suite, past the sales floor where his team was already whispering, staring, past the lobby with its marble and glass, to the service elevator. Down, down, down. Basement, fluorescent lights, concrete floors, the smell of old files and mildew. A cubicle, half height, beige fabric, ancient computer. On the desk, a stack of files, a memo. Project Clean Sweep. Manager M. Davidson. Objective: catalog all fraudulent transactions Apex Solutions account and related entities for federal investigation. Report directly to CEO Nicole Washington. Start date: immediate. James sat down. The chair squeaked. 8 hours ago, he'd been a king. Now he was in a basement cubicle, building the case that would send him to prison. And somewhere, 52 floors above him, his black wife, the woman he'd called furniture, the woman he'd married for optics, the woman he'd stolen from and dismissed and underestimated for 15 years, was sitting in his corner office, running his company, destroying his life. And just getting started. The guard left him there. Fluorescent light buzzing overhead, computer screen flickering, the smell of old paper and something that might have been a dead mouse in the walls. James stared at the memo. His name, his new title, Compliance Auditor, Level 1. His phone buzzed, text from an unknown number. Your belongings are on the driveway. Locks changed. Do not attempt entry or I will call the police. N.W. He tried to call her. Blocked. He tried to text. Blocked. He called Amber. Straight to voicemail. His hands were shaking so hard he dropped the phone. It clattered on the concrete floor. Screen cracked. Perfect. You the fraud guy? James's head snapped up. An old black man stood at the cubicle entrance. Had to be 70. Gray hair, cheap polyester shirt. Name tag, Rodney Jefferson, Records Management. I'm not. Yeah, you are. Rodney pulled up a rolling chair, sat down uninvited. Whole building knows. Stole from your wife. Brought your side piece to meetings. CEO took you down. He whistled. That's some karma. I need to work alone. Can't. Fire code. Buddy system in the basement. Someone's got to make sure you don't hurt yourself down here. Rodney leaned back. So, I'm your buddy. James wanted to scream. Don't look so miserable, Rodney said. Could be worse. She could have actually fired you. Then you'd have no health insurance when the FBI comes. The FBI isn't, oh, they comin'. Wire fraud? Federal crime. 3 to 5 years minimum. Rodney pulled out a thermos. Coffee. The cheap kind. Want some? No. Suit yourself, Rodney sipped. I've been down here 40 years. Seen a lot of executives take the fall. Embezzlement, insider trading, sexual harassment. You know what they all got in common? James didn't answer. They all thought they were untouchable. Rodney smiled. Wasn't mean, wasn't kind, just factual. And they all sat right where you're sitting now. The phone on James's desk rang. Actual landline. He didn't even know those still existed. He picked up. Hello? Mr. Davidson. A woman's voice. Professional. Cold. This is Patricia Blackwell's office. Ms. Washington requires your first project update by end of business today. Do you need clarification on the assignment? I just got here. End of business is 5 p.m. That gives you 7 hours. The files are in the cabinet to your left. Instructions are in the memo. Ms. Washington expects thorough documentation. Click. James looked at the file cabinet. 4 drawers, each stuffed full. Better get started, Rodney said. She don't play. 8 months ago, Nicole had been in bed when James's phone lit up. 3:47 a.m. She'd been awake anyway. Insomnia. Or maybe just the weight of managing $2 billion in assets while her husband thought she was planning charity galas. The phone buzzed. Face down on his nightstand, James was snoring. Dead to the world. She'd reached over. Shouldn't have. Knew she shouldn't have. But something in her gut twisted. She picked it up. Text from C. Bennett. Last night was wow. You weren't kidding about the view from my new place. See you at the meeting. Red dress ready. Nicole's heart stopped. Then started again. Faster. Harder. She got out of bed. Didn't wake James. Took his phone to the bathroom. Locked the door. Scrolled. Messages going back 3 months. Hundreds of them. Pictures. Not just sexual. Worse. Intimate. Amber in James's shirts. James's hand in her hair. Coffee cups on a balcony Nicole didn't recognize. You make me feel alive. She doesn't understand me like you do. Can't wait to build our future together. Nicole sat on the cold tile floor, stared at the screen. She should cry, should scream, should throw the phone at the mirror. She didn't. Her father's voice in her head, calm, measured. Emotion is data, Nicole. Process it, then act. She processed. James was having an affair. That was data point 1. She opened his email on his phone. Company account. He never logged out. Searched Amber Collins. Expense reports. Condo lease. Salary approval. Company money. Their money. Her money. Data point 2. He was using corporate funds. She kept searching. Found references to Apex Solutions. Big client. James's crown jewel. The account that made him look like a rainmaker. She pulled up her own phone. Logged into the banking portal for the Harriet Washington Memorial Trust. Her father's legacy. $127 million in diverse holdings. James had emergency access. For medical bills. real emergencies. She ran the account numbers from his emails. Her stomach dropped. Wire transfers, dozens of them. From her trust to a shell company. From the shell company to TechVantage, coded as client payments. He wasn't just cheating, he was stealing. From her dead father's legacy. Nicole stood up, looked at herself in the mirror. Mascara smudged, hair a mess. 45 years old and still playing small for a man who called her furniture in emails to his mistress. She smiled. Not a happy smile. A decision smile. She'd spent 6 years running Washington Legacy Fund in secret, managing portfolios, making acquisitions, building an empire, all while pretending to be a confused housewife who needed help understanding compound interest. She was done pretending. Nicole walked back to the bedroom, put James's phone exactly where she'd found it, got dressed, jeans, sweatshirt, baseball cap, grabbed her keys. "Where are you going?" James mumbled, half asleep. "Couldn't sleep. Gonna get coffee. Early meeting for the foundation." Drive safe." She drove to her real office, the one James didn't know existed. 15th floor of a building downtown. Corner suite. Washington Legacy Fund on the door. Her assistant was already there. Marcus Chen. No relation to TechVantage's CFO. Young. Brilliant. Loyal. "Ms. Washington? It's 4 a.m. Get Arthur Vance on the phone. I don't care that it's early. Wake him up." Marcus made the call. Arthur Vance answered on the third ring. Her father's oldest friend. 76 years old. Still sharp as broken glass. "Nicole, what's wrong?" "I need a forensic accountant. The best. And I need them today." "What happened?" "My husband is committing wire fraud using my family's trust funds, and I'm going to buy his company and destroy him." Silence on the line. Then, "I'll make the calls." James finished the first file at 2 p.m. His eyes burned. His back ached. The chair squeaked every time he moved. The file documented $400,000 in fraudulent transfers. All his work, all traceable, all criminal. He was building a federal case against himself. The phone rang again. "Mr. Davidson, Ms. Washington requires you on the 52nd floor. Immediately." James's heart seized. What?" "Conference room B. 5 minutes." Click. Rodney looked up from his crossword puzzle. "Good luck." James took the service elevator. Couldn't use the executive ones anymore. His badge didn't work. 52nd floor. Conference room B. Smaller than the main boardroom. Still nicer than anywhere he'd been in the last 6 hours. Nicole was there, still in the Tom Ford suit, still immaculate. Next to her, a white man in his 50s, expensive suit, hard eyes. "Mr. Davidson, sit." James sat. "This is Special Agent Robert Carver, FBI. He has questions." The room tilted. "Mr. Davidson." Carver's voice was flat, professional. "I'm investigating allegations of wire fraud, embezzlement, and identity theft. You have the right to remain silent." Wait, James stood up. "I need a lawyer." "That's your right. Though I should mention, Ms. Washington has provided us with extensive documentation. Bank records, email correspondence, shell company registrations. Your cooperation could reduce sentencing." James looked at Nicole. "You called the FBI?" "I reported a crime. That's what law-abiding citizens do." "I'm your husband." "You're a criminal who happens to be married to me. Temporarily." Nicole opened a folder, slid it across the table. "Agent Carver, these are the additional files Mr. Davidson compiled today. The Apex Solutions account. $2.4 million in fraudulent transfers. Carver took the folder, flipped through, looked at James. "We'll be in touch, Mr. Davidson. Don't leave the state." He left. James's legs gave out. He sat down hard. "You're insane. You're actually trying to put me in prison." "I'm ensuring consequences for federal crimes. There's a difference." "Nicole, please." "Ms. Washington, we have 15 years together. We have a life. You can't just—" She laughed. Actually laughed, cold and sharp. "A life? James, we never had a life. You had a life. I had a performance." She stood up, walked to the window, looked out over Atlanta. "I woke up at 5 a.m. every day for 6 years, managed international acquisitions before you even opened your eyes, made billion-dollar decisions while you were in the shower. Then I'd come home, put on a hoodie, ask you if I could spend my own money on office supplies." Her voice cracked, just slightly. "I made myself stupid for you, made myself small, because you needed to be big, because I thought—" She stopped, breathed. "I thought if I just loved you enough, you'd see me, really see me." James said nothing. "But you didn't want to see me. You wanted a prop, a beautiful black wife to prove you weren't racist. Someone who'd smile and nod and never challenge you." She turned around, eyes bright, but not crying. "Well, congratulations. You got what you wanted, and it cost you everything." She walked to the door. "Back to the basement, Mr. Davidson. Those files won't document themselves." Arthur Vance had worked for Harold Washington for 30 years, helped build the empire, watched Nicole grow up, taught her contract law while other kids learned multiplication. When Harold died, he'd made Arthur promise one thing: protect her, even from herself. Now, in Nicole's office, Arthur watched her pace. The forensic accountant found 12 separate instances of fraud. Total, $8.3 million. All from family trusts. All traceable to James or his accomplices. Accomplices, plural? His college roommate ran the shell companies. The CFO signed off without checking. Amber Collins accepted benefits she had to know were fraudulent. Nicole stopped. "I want them all prosecuted." "Nicole, all of them, Arthur." "Even the girl?" "Especially the girl. She knew he was married. She knew the salary was absurd. She chose not to ask questions." Nicole's jaw set. "That's complicity." Arthur nodded. Understood. "And TechVantage?" "I want to buy it." Nicole, that's not business. That's revenge." "It's both. TechVantage is overleveraged. Their metrics are inflated by James's fraud. They're vulnerable. We can buy controlling interest at a discount, restructure, triple the value." She sat down. "And yes, I want to watch him work in a basement while I turn his company into something he never could have built." Arthur studied her. This wasn't the girl who'd cried in his office when her father died. This was Harold's daughter, the real one. "It'll take months, maybe a year." "I have time." "He'll fight the divorce." "Let him. The prenup is void due to criminal activity. He gets nothing." "The board will ask questions. Media will cover this. It'll be ugly." Nicole smiled. "Good. Let it be ugly. Let everyone see what happens when you underestimate a black woman because she's quiet." Arthur pulled out his phone. "I'll start the acquisition paperwork." "Thank you, Arthur." "Your father would be proud. And furious. Probably both." "Both sounds about right." 5 p.m. James's desk phone rang. "Mr. Davidson, your report is late." I got called upstairs. The FBI. Ms. Washington is aware. She still expects the report. You have until 6 p.m. After that, you're in violation of your employment terms. What happens then? Immediate termination, which means immediate arrest, since your cooperation is part of the FBI's timeline. The line went dead. James opened another file, started typing. His fingers cramped, his vision blurred. Rodney appeared with a sandwich. Vending machine. Stale. Eat. I don't eat. You pass out, I gotta fill out paperwork. I hate paperwork. James took the sandwich. It tasted like cardboard. He ate it anyway. You got kids? Rodney asked. No. That's something. My daughter won't talk to me. I cheated on her mama back in '92. 30 years ago. Still won't forgive me. Rodney sighed. Some things you don't come back from. Helpful. Not trying to be helpful. Trying to be honest. Rodney stood up. You made your choices. Now you're living with them. That's how it works. James submitted the report at 5:58 p.m. The response came at 6 p.m. exactly. Report received. Tomorrow's assignment. Henderson account. Files already on your desk. 8 a.m. start time. James looked at the new stack of files, thicker than today's. This was his life now. He took the service elevator down, walked to the parking garage. His Mercedes was gone. Right. Revoked. He took a bus. First time in 20 years. Smelled like sweat and desperation. Felt appropriate. The motel was off Highway 85. $47 a night. Bedspread had cigarette burns. TV got 3 channels. James lay on the bed, stared at the ceiling. Water stains shaped like a hand. His phone buzzed. Email. From North Washington at WLFcapital.com. To J. Davidson at TechVantage.com. Subject: Tomorrow. James, you asked me earlier if we have a life together. I've been thinking about that. We did have moments, real ones. When we first met, you made me laugh. You seemed in awe of me. You told me I was brilliant. I believed you meant it. Our wedding day. You cried during the vows. I thought it was love. The night my father died. You held me while I sobbed. You said you'd take care of everything. You did, for about a week. There were dinners, conversations, mornings where we just existed together. I remember those. But I also remember the first time you interrupted me at a board meeting. The first time you introduced me as, she does charity work. The first time you laughed when someone assumed I was the caterer. I remember asking you to stop. You said I was being sensitive, playing the race card. I remember shrinking, making myself quieter, smaller, less. I remember becoming furniture. So did we have a life together? Maybe. For you. You had a beautiful wife, a big house, a successful career built on my money. I had a performance, a role, a daily erasure. That's not a life, James. That's a slow death. I'm not sorry for stopping it. I'm sorry it took me this long. Tomorrow, you'll document the Henderson account. $1.2 million in fraudulent transfers. Your handwriting is on every approval. After that, the Morrison account. Then, the Stratford account. It'll take months, maybe a year. Every day, you'll build the case that sends you to prison. And every day, I'll be 52 floors above you, building something real. Something you could never see because you were too busy seeing yourself. Sleep well. Number James read it twice. Then he cried, actually cried. First time since the boardroom. Not because he was sorry, not because he missed her, because he finally understood. She'd been invisible to him for 15 years. Now he was invisible to everyone. And she'd done it on purpose, methodically, perfectly. She turned him into what he'd turned her into. Nothing. His phone buzzed again. Text from unknown number. Stop contacting me. I don't know you. We were never real. You were a job interview for the man I actually deserve. You failed. Amber. James laughed. Broken sound. Hurt his throat. Even his mistress was smarter than him now. He pulled up Nicole's email again, read the last line. Building something real. He'd had everything. Wife, money, status, power. All of it hers. All of it borrowed. All of it gone. The water stain on the ceiling looked like a hand reaching down. He closed his eyes. Tomorrow he'd go back to the basement, document his crimes, face Rodney's pity, build his own prison. But tonight, in this motel room that smelled like failure, James Davidson had one single moment of clarity. He'd married a queen and treated her like a servant. Now she was showing him what queens do to men who forget their place. They don't kill them. They make them watch while they build kingdoms. And he was only on day 1. Day 2. James woke up to his phone ringing. 6:47 a.m. Unknown number. He answered. Hello? James Davidson? Yes. This is Monica Reynolds from Atlanta Business Chronicle. We're running a story on the WLF Capital acquisition of TechVantage. Sources say you're married to the new CEO. Can you comment? James hung up. The phone rang again. Different number. Mr. Davidson, this is Sarah Kim from Forbes. We'd like to discuss... He turned off his phone. 45 minutes later, he was back in the basement. Rodney, already there with his crossword. You're famous, Rodney said. What? Rodney pulled out his phone, showed James the screen. Atlanta Business Chronicle. Mystery CEO revealed. Nicole Washington, wife of disgraced executive, takes control of TechVantage. Forbes. The billionaire who hid in plain sight. Nicole Washington's secret empire. Business Insider. From housewife to CEO, how one woman built a fortune while her husband committed fraud. James's stomach turned. They're calling you disgraced executive now, Rodney said. Yesterday, you were just fraud guy. Moving up in the world. Shut up. Touchy. Rodney went back to his crossword. 6 letters. Consequence of arrogance. Starts with R. James didn't answer. Ruined, Rodney said. Fits perfect. The phone on James's desk rang. He grabbed it. Compliance office. He almost corrected her. Almost said his name. Caught himself. Mr. Davidson, Miss Washington requests your presence. 52nd floor, conference room A. 10 minutes. His heart kicked. Why? She doesn't explain herself to level 1 employees. Click. James took the elevator up, hands shaking. Conference room A was full. 15 people, all senior staff. Patricia Blackwell at Nicole's right hand. Everyone in expensive suits. James in his wrinkled shirt from yesterday. Couldn't afford dry cleaning now. Mr. Davidson, Nicole said. Didn't look at him. You're here as a witness. Sit in the back. He sat. Nicole stood at the head of the table, commanding, powerful. As of this morning, WLF Capital controls 51% of TechVantage Solutions. The board has voted unanimously to restructure. She clicked her laptop. First order of business? New leadership team. The screen lit up. Patricia Blackwell, COO. Marcus Chen, CFO. No relation to the previous CFO. Dr. Jennifer Williams, Chief Technology Officer. Raymond Foster, Chief Marketing Officer. All new names. All people James didn't know. Second order of business. Company culture. We're implementing mandatory bias training, salary equity audits, anonymous reporting for harassment and discrimination. She looked directly at James for the first time. Transparency, accountability, integrity. The things this company forgot. One of the executives raised his hand. White guy, 50s. James recognized him. Derek Morrison, Sales VP. Ms. Washington, with all due respect, some of us have been here 20 years. We built this company. Are you saying we're all corrupt? Nicole smiled, cold. Mr. Morrison, tell me about your Q3 numbers. Morrison's face went red. My division exceeded projections by using the Henderson account, which Mr. Davidson created, which doesn't exist. She clicked. Morrison's reports appeared. You signed off on fraudulent revenue. Either you knew and participated, or you didn't check and failed at your job. Which is it? Morrison said nothing. You're terminated, effective immediately. Security will escort you out. Morrison stood up. You can't. I have a contract. Your contract includes a morality clause. Fraud violates that clause. Try to fight it, and I'll add you to the federal investigation. Security appeared at the door. Morrison looked around the table. No one met his eyes. He left. Nicole continued like nothing happened. Third order of business. Client relationships. We're personally contacting every client, apologizing, offering audits. Some will leave. Most will stay. Trust has to be rebuilt. She clicked again. Photo of a black woman, late 30s, sharp suit. This is Dr. Keisha Reynolds. She'll be leaving our diversity and inclusion initiative. Real initiative, not lip service. She has full authority to investigate, recommend, and implement changes. Patricia spoke for the first time. Dr. Reynolds comes from McKinsey. She's brilliant, and she doesn't tolerate nonsense. Questions? Nicole asked. Silence. Good. Meeting adjourned. Mr. Davidson, stay. Everyone filed out. Patricia last. She touched Nicole's shoulder as she passed. Solidarity. The door closed. Nicole and James, alone. You wanted to see me? James's voice came out smaller than he intended. No, I wanted you to see that. She gestured to where the meeting had been. That's what competent leadership looks like. That's what this company will become. You fired Derek. He has 3 kids. He committed fraud. Actions have consequences. She walked toward him. But that's not why you're really here. She pulled out her phone, showed him the screen, text messages. His mother. Nicole called me yesterday, told me everything. I'm ashamed of you. Don't contact me until you've made this right. Mom. James felt the floor drop out. You called my mother? I called Linda. We've always gotten along. I told her the truth. Nicole's eyes were hard. She told me she warned you about marrying a black woman, said you'd never be able to handle me. Interesting phrasing. She didn't mean she meant exactly what she said. She thought I'd be submissive, grateful. She thought you were doing me a favor. Nicole laughed. Now she knows better. What did you tell her? The truth? That you stole from me, cheated on me, called me furniture? She cried, actually cried, said she raised you better than that. James's throat closed. She said she's cutting you off. No more money, no more support. You're on your own. Nicole headed for the door. Oh, and your father? He said, and I quote, he made his bed, let him rot in it. She left. James sat there, alone. His own parents had disowned him. For her. Week 1 became Week 2. The basement walls closed in. James documented fraud after fraud. All his work. All his crimes. The files piled up. Henderson account, Morrison account, Stratford account. Each one another nail in his coffin. Rodney brought him vending machine food. Sometimes talked, sometimes didn't. "You got anybody?" Rodney asked one day. "What?" "Anybody on your side? Friends, family, somebody?" James thought about it. His parents had cut him off. His college buddies stopped returning calls. His colleagues avoided him in the rare moments he left the basement. "No." "That's rough." Rodney ate a candy bar. "My daughter won't talk to me, but my son does. Takes me fishing sometimes. Says everybody deserves somebody. Your son's wrong. Maybe, but it keeps me going." Rodney crumpled the wrapper. "You got nothing keeping you going. You're already dead, just waiting for your body to figure it out." James went back to his files. That night, he tried to go to the country club, his club, where he'd been a member for 10 years. The valet didn't recognize him, or pretended not to. "Name? James Davidson." The valet checked his tablet. Face went carefully neutral. "I'm sorry, sir. Your membership has been terminated." "What? Why?" "Club policy. Members facing criminal investigation are suspended pending resolution." "I haven't been charged with anything." "Club policy," the valet repeated. Firmer now. "I'm going to have to ask you to leave." A couple walked past. James recognized them. Todd and Jennifer Hartman. He'd had dinner with them a dozen times. "Hey, Todd." Todd grabbed Jennifer's arm, steered her past, didn't look at James. "Sir, please leave before I call the police." James left. Drove back to the motel in a car he'd bought that morning. Used Toyota, 10 years old, $3,500. All he could afford. The Mercedes felt like a lifetime ago. Day 15. James's phone rang during lunch. His actual phone, not the desk phone. Lawyer, finally returning his calls from a week ago. "Mr. Davidson, this is Robert Chen from Chen and Associates." "Different Chen, I know. Can you help me?" "I've reviewed your case. The short answer is no." James's heart sank. "Why?" "Because you're guilty. The evidence is overwhelming. Emails, bank records, shell company registrations with your signature. Testimony from your accomplice." "Accomplice?" "Marcus Chen, your college roommate. He's cooperating with the FBI. Full immunity in exchange for testimony." "He can't. We're friends." "He has 3 kids and a mortgage. You're going to prison. He's not." The lawyer's voice wasn't unkind, just factual. "My advice? Cooperate. Plead guilty. Ask for minimum sentencing. You might get 3 years instead of 7. 3 years? If you're lucky. Wire fraud is federal. Judge won't go easy." Pause. "One more thing. Your wife's legal team contacted me. They're offering a deal." "What deal?" "You sign the divorce papers, agree to all terms, no contest. In exchange, she won't pursue civil damages on top of criminal charges." "Civil damages?" "She could sue you personally for the $8.3 million, plus emotional distress, plus punitive damages. You'd be paying her for the rest of your life, on top of prison time." James's hands were shaking. "And if I sign?" "Just prison. No debt. Clean break." "That's not a deal. That's extortion." "That's mercy, Mr. Davidson. I suggest you take it." The lawyer hung up. James sat in his cubicle, stared at the papers on his desk. Divorce decree. All the boxes checked. Just needed his signature. He picked up a pen, put it down, picked it up again. His phone buzzed. News alert. Nicole Washington to appear on 60 Minutes this Sunday. Exclusive interview about building a billion-dollar empire in secret. 60 Minutes. National television. She was going to tell the world her story. His humiliation would be broadcast to millions. James signed the papers. Sunday night. James watched from his motel room. The TV barely worked, but he got CBS. Leslie Stahl sat across from Nicole. Nicole in a cream-colored suit, hair perfect, makeup flawless. You managed a $2 billion portfolio in secret from your husband for 6 years. How? Nicole smiled, genuine, warm. I went to work before he woke up. Came home before he got suspicious. I told him I was running my late father's charity. He never asked for details, never wanted to see the books, never cared. Why hide it? I wanted to be loved for me, not my money. I'd seen what wealth did to relationships. I thought, foolishly, that if I made myself smaller, quieter, less threatening, he'd love the real me. Did he? No, Nicole's smile faded. He loved the idea of me. A beautiful black wife. Good optics. Proof he was progressive. But when I tried to be myself, tried to have opinions, tried to contribute, he'd shut me down. Tell me I was being too sensitive, playing the race card. He said that? In an email to a colleague, he wrote, and I quote, "At least my mistress doesn't play the race card when I correct her work." Leslie Stahl's face showed genuine shock. He had a mistress? He did. A white woman, 20 years younger. He hired her, gave her a fake job, paid her with my money, called her his protégé. What did you do when you found out? Nicole leaned forward, eyes bright. I bought his company. Leslie laughed. Couldn't help it. That's not the usual response to infidelity. I'm not usual. Nicole's voice was steel, wrapped in silk. I'm a black woman who's been underestimated her entire life, by colleagues, by society, by my own husband. I was done being small. Your husband is facing federal charges. My ex-husband. The divorce was finalized yesterday. James's chest tightened. He'd signed the papers 3 days ago. She'd pushed it through that fast. Do you have any sympathy for him? Leslie asked. Nicole paused, thought about it. I have sympathy for who I thought he was. The man who cried at our wedding. The man who held me when my father died. That man doesn't exist. Maybe he never did. What about the man who exists now? He's facing the consequences of his choices. That's not cruelty. That's justice. Some people will say you're being vindictive. Nicole's eyes flashed. Some people said I was being dramatic when I pointed out microaggressions. Some people said I was being difficult when I asked to be introduced as a businesswoman, not a housewife. Some people said I was playing the race card when I noted that my husband only dated white women before me and cheated with one during our marriage. She leaned in closer. Some people will always find a way to blame black women for refusing to stay silent. I'm done caring what some people think. The interview continued. Leslie asked about her father, about building Washington Legacy Fund, about her plans for Tech Vantage. Nicole answered everything with grace and power and absolute certainty. She was magnificent. James turned off the TV. The room felt smaller, darker. The walls pressed in. His phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. Saw the interview. You really fucked up. Todd Hartman. Another buzz. My wife says Nicole is her hero now. We're donating to her scholarship fund. Derek Morrison. Another. Dude, what the hell were you thinking? College friend. Another. You deserve everything you're getting. Amber. Amber, his mistress, his accomplice, now his enemy. James threw his phone at the wall. Screen shattered. Good. He didn't want to see any more. Monday morning. James arrived at TechVantage at 7:45 a.m. Rodney wasn't there yet. The elevator opened on the ground floor. A group of employees got on, saw James, went silent. He recognized one. Sarah Kim. Used to be in his division. He'd trained her. "Hey, Sarah." She looked through him, like he was glass. The elevator stopped at the 3rd floor. They all got off, left him alone. The basement was cold, always cold. James sat at his desk, opened the newest file, the Stratford account. $1.8 million in fraudulent transfers, the biggest one yet. His handwriting on every page. The phone rang. "Mr. Davidson, FBI is here. Conference room B, immediately." James's stomach dropped. Conference room B. Agent Carver. 2 other agents, a court reporter, and Amber. She sat across from him, wouldn't meet his eyes. Her lawyer next to her. "Mr. Davidson," Carver said, "Miss Collins has agreed to cooperate with our investigation. She'll be providing testimony about your relationship and the benefits she received." James looked at Amber. "You're testifying against me?" "I'm telling the truth." Her voice was flat, empty. "Something you never did." "Amber, don't." She looked at him finally, eyes red but dry. "You told me you loved me. You told me we had a future. You told me Nicole was cold and didn't understand you. She didn't. She built a $2 billion empire while you stole from her." Amber's voice cracked. "She's brilliant. She's powerful. She's everything you said she wasn't. And you couldn't handle that she was smarter than you." Her lawyer touched her arm. She took a breath. "I was stupid. I believed you. I thought I was special, but I was just another way for you to feel important." She stood up. "I'm cooperating because it's the right thing to do, and because maybe, if I help put you away, I can live with myself." She left. James sat there, shaking. Carver pulled out a document. "Mr. Davidson, we're formally charging you with 12 counts of wire fraud, 4 counts of embezzlement, and 2 counts of identity theft. Your arraignment is scheduled for next Monday." "I need a lawyer." "You have one. Court-appointed. Public defender. Name's Michael Torres. He'll contact you." They left him there, alone with the court reporter packing up her equipment. She looked at him, middle-aged black woman, kind eyes. "My daughter saw Ms. Washington's interview last night. Cried. Said she finally saw herself represented. She zipped up her bag. So thank you, Mr. Davidson, for being exactly who you are. You gave us a hero." She left, too. James put his head in his hands. Nicole was becoming a hero. He was becoming a villain. And the worst part? They were both right. The arraignment was scheduled for Monday. James had 4 days to prepare. His public defender called Friday afternoon. "Mr. Davidson, Michael Torres, I've reviewed your case." And you're screwed, but we can minimize damage. Plead guilty. Show remorse. Maybe get 5 years instead of 7. 5 years? Federal sentencing guidelines don't mess around. Wire fraud? This scale? You're looking at mandatory minimums. Torres sighed. The prosecutor has emails, bank records, witness testimony. They have you dead to rights. What about the fact that it's my wife's money? Doesn't that ex-wife? And no, it makes it worse. Spousal theft adds emotional damages. Judge won't like it. James's hands went numb. What do I do? Show up Monday. Wear a suit if you still have one. Don't talk to reporters. And for God's sake, show some remorse. I am remorseful. Then act like it. Because right now, you look like a guy who's sorry he got caught, not sorry for what he did. Torres hung up. James didn't have a suit. He'd left them all at the house. Nicole's house. The one he couldn't enter. He drove to Men's Warehouse, bought a cheap suit off the rack, $200. Made him look like a used car salesman. The girl at the register recognized him. "You're that guy, from the news." "Just ring me up." "My mom loves your wife." "Ex-wife." "Whatever." She scanned the suit. "She says Ms. Washington is what every woman should aspire to be." James paid cash, left without the receipt. Saturday morning. James woke up to pounding on his motel door. He opened it. 2 men. Cameras. Press badges. "Mr. Davidson, how do you respond to allegations that you called your wife furniture in company emails?" James slammed the door. The pounding continued. "Mr. Davidson, is it true you spent $180,000 of your wife's money on your mistress?" He called the front desk. "There are reporters at my door." "Sorry, sir. Public property. Can't make them leave." James packed his stuff, checked out, drove to a different motel across town. The new place was worse. $35 a night. Stains on everything. Shower didn't work right. He lay on the bed, stared at the ceiling, tried to remember when everything went wrong. Was it the first time he interrupted Nicole at a meeting? The first time he introduced her as just my wife? The first time he dismissed her intelligence because it made him uncomfortable? Or was it the day he married her, thinking she'd always be small enough to fit in his shadow? His phone buzzed. New email. From Patricia Blackwell at techvantage.com to all staff at techvantage.com. Subject: New company direction. Team: I'm honored to serve as COO under Ms. Washington's leadership. Together, we're building a company that values all voices, not just the loudest ones. Effective immediately, we're implementing blind resume screening, salary transparency, mandatory bias training, employee resource groups for underrepresented communities, anonymous reporting for discrimination. This isn't about politics. It's about excellence. Diverse teams make better decisions. Period. To those who disagree, the door is that way. We won't stop you. To those ready to build something real, welcome to the new TechVantage. Patricia Blackwell, COO. James read it twice. Patricia was dismantling everything he'd built. Every old boys' club tradition. Every shortcut. Every way he'd maintained power. Good, a small voice in his head said. You deserved this. He ignored it. Sunday, the day before his arraignment. James tried to call his mother. Blocked. His father. Blocked. His sister. Blocked. His entire family had erased him. He drove to his parents' house in Marietta, 20 minutes north. The house he grew up in. His mother answered the door, saw him, started to close it. Mom, please. You stole from your wife, James. Your black wife, who you married to look progressive. Then you cheated on her with a white girl and stole from her family's legacy to pay for it. I know, your father and I raised you better than this. We taught you to respect women, to respect people. Her voice cracked. We taught you that skin color doesn't matter, and you proved us wrong. It wasn't about race, Mom. I loved Nicole. You loved what she could do for you. You loved how she made you look. His mother's eyes filled with tears. Nicole called me last week, asked if I wanted to have lunch. Just us. James froze. We talked for 3 hours. She told me everything. How you dismissed her, interrupted her, introduced her as charity work to clients. How you said you literally sleep with diversity to avoid bias training. She told you that? She showed me the email. She's the nothing but gracious to me. More gracious than you deserve. His mother wiped her eyes. She said she doesn't blame me or your father. Said we probably didn't know who you really were. But I think we did, James. We just didn't want to see it. Mom, don't come back here. Not until you've made this right. Not until you've looked at yourself and figured out what kind of man you actually want to be. She stepped back. Nicole deserved better. Hell, Amber deserved better. Everyone in your life deserved better than what you gave them. She closed the door. James stood on the porch, his childhood home. The tire swing still in the yard. The basketball hoop over the garage. All of it closed to him now. He drove back to the motel, sat in the parking lot. Couldn't make himself go inside. His phone buzzed. Text from Nicole. He'd blocked her. She'd somehow unblocked herself. Tomorrow at the arraignment, you'll see me in the gallery. I'll be there with Patricia. And with someone else. Someone you should have met a long time ago. Nen. Who? James tried to text back. Blocked again. She'd unblocked herself just to send that message. Just to get in his head. It worked. Monday. Federal Courthouse, downtown Atlanta. James arrived at 8:30 a.m. The arraignment was at 9. Michael Torres met him outside. Cheap suit. Tired eyes. Remember, quiet, respectful. When the judge asks how you plead, say, "Guilty, Your Honor." Nothing else. That's it? That's it. Save the speeches for sentencing. Right now, we're just getting through this. They walked inside. Security. Metal detectors. James's belt buckle set it off. He had to take it off. Stand there holding up his pants while guards waved him through. Courtroom C. Federal. Serious. The prosecutor was already there. Woman. 40s. Black. Sharp as a knife. Torres whispered, "That's Candace Williams, U.S. Attorney's Office. She's good. Don't make eye contact." James sat at the defendant's table, Torres next to him. The gallery behind them filled up. James heard voices, footsteps. He turned around. Nicole sat in the front row, navy suit, diamond studs. Next to her, Patricia. Next to Patricia, a young black girl, maybe 12. Looked like Nicole. Same eyes. Same cheekbones. James's brain stuttered. Nicole leaned forward, whispered so only he could hear. "Meet my daughter." His heart stopped. "She's 12. I adopted her 3 months ago. Final papers came through the week I found out about Amber." Nicole's smile was cold. "You were going to be a stepfather, but you were too busy with your mistress to notice I was building a family." James couldn't breathe. The girl looked at him. No recognition. No interest. Just looked through him like he was nothing. "Her name is Zara," Nicole continued. "She's brilliant. Wants to be an engineer. She asked me why I stayed with you so long. I told her I was afraid. She said I should never be afraid again." Pause. "She's right." "All rise." Everyone stood. Judge entered. White woman, 60s, severe. "The Honorable Judge Martha Brennan presiding." They sat. Judge Brennan looked at the file, looked at James. No sympathy in her eyes. "United States versus James Davidson. Mr. Davidson, you're charged with 12 counts of wire fraud, 4 counts of embezzlement, 2 counts of identity theft. How do you plead?" Torres nudged him. James stood. "Guilty, Your Honor." Murmurs in the gallery. "Mr. Davidson, do you understand the severity of these charges? Combined, you're facing up to 20 years in federal prison." "Yes, Your Honor." "Do you understand you're waiving your right to trial by pleading guilty?" "Yes, Your Honor." "And you're doing this of your own free will? No one is coercing you?" James almost laughed. Nicole had coerced him by making it impossible to fight. But legally, no. Yes, Your Honor. My own free will. Judge Brennan made a note. Sentencing is scheduled for 8 weeks from today. Until then, you're released on your own recognizance. Do not leave the state. Do not contact any witnesses. Do not attempt to access any assets currently frozen by this court. Understood? Yes, Your Honor. Bailiff will provide you with the conditions of your release. Next case. That was it. 90 seconds. His life reduced to a guilty plea and a sentencing date. James turned around. Nicole was already leaving. Zara's hand in hers. Patricia followed. They didn't look back. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Mr. Davidson, how does it feel to plead guilty? Mr. Davidson, do you regret stealing from your wife? Is it true you're broke now? Torres pushed through them. No comment. My client has no comment. They made it to the parking garage. Torres handed James a card. That's the probation office. Check in every Monday. Don't miss it, or they'll revoke your release. He paused. And James? Get your affairs in order. You're going to prison. Make peace with that. Torres left. James sat in his Toyota, hands shaking. Nicole had a daughter, had been building a family, had been planning a future. Without him. Even if he'd never cheated, even if he'd never stolen, she was leaving him anyway. She'd just been waiting for the right time. The affair had given her the perfect excuse. His phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. James Davidson? Yeah? This is Karen Mitchell from the New York Times. We're doing a feature on Miss Washington. Sources say she adopted a daughter during your marriage. Did you know? James hung up. Another call. Mr. Davidson, this is CNN. He turned off the phone. Drove to the motel. His room had been broken into. Door hanging open. Everything he owned was gone. Clothes, laptop, the few valuables he'd saved. The manager shrugged when James asked what happened. Happens sometimes. This neighborhood. Sorry, man. James filed a police report. Cop took notes. Didn't seem interested. You got insurance? No. Then not much we can do. Want us to call someone for you? No. The cop left. James sat on the bare mattress. No clothes, no computer, no phone that worked. Just him and the sentencing date 8 weeks away. He lay down, closed his eyes, tried to remember the last time he'd felt happy. Couldn't. 2 weeks later, James was cleaning tables at a diner. Only job he could get. $8 an hour plus tips. Mostly, no tips. His coworker was a kid, college student. Recognized him. You're that CEO guy who got wrecked by his wife. Ex-wife. Right. Dude, what were you thinking? She's like a genius. And you called her furniture? Can we not? My girlfriend showed me the interview. Said if I ever treated her like that, she'd cut my balls off. The kid grinned. Your wife, ex-wife. She's like a superhero now. You know she started a scholarship fund? For black girls in STEM. Full ride to MIT. First recipient gets announced next week. James dropped a plate. It shattered. Shit, man, you okay? Fine. He wasn't fine. He cleaned up the broken plate, cut his hand on a shard. Blood dripped onto the floor. The manager came over. You need to go home. Can't work bleeding. I'm fine. Go home. Come back tomorrow. And be more careful. James wrapped his hand in a towel, took the bus back to his new motel. Even cheaper than the last one. $28 a night. His hand throbbed. Probably needed stitches. Couldn't afford the ER. He wrapped it tighter. Sat on the bed. His phone buzzed, the replacement burner phone he'd bought at Walmart for $20. Email From Nicole's lawyer. Mr. Davidson, Ms. Washington requests your presence at TechVantage Solutions this Friday, 2 p.m., Conference Room A. This is not optional. Failure to appear will be reported to your probation officer. What now? Friday. James took the bus to TechVantage. Couldn't afford parking anymore. Walked into the building. Security stopped him. Name? James Davidson. The guard checked his list. Face went cold. ID. James showed his driver's license. You're not authorized for the executive floors. Conference Room A has been moved to the basement level for your meeting. Of course it had. James took the service elevator down. His old cubicle was gone. In its place, a conference room. Small. No windows. Nicole was already there. So was Patricia. So was Zara. So was a woman James didn't recognize. Black. 50s. Elegant. Mr. Davidson, Nicole said. This is Dr. Sharon Hayes. She's a psychologist specializing in narcissistic personality disorder. What? Sit down. James sat. Dr. Hayes opened a folder. Mr. Davidson, I've been retained by Miss Washington to provide expert testimony at your sentencing hearing. I've reviewed your case file, your emails, your patterns of behavior. You can't, that's private. You waived privacy when you pleaded guilty, Dr. Hayes said calmly. And when you used company email for personal communications, everything is discoverable. She pulled out a document, pages of analysis. You exhibit classic signs of narcissistic personality disorder with racial bias overtones. You married a black woman, not despite her race, but because of it. You saw her as a trophy, proof of your progressiveness. But you couldn't handle her being more successful than you. So you diminished her, interrupted her, erased her achievements. That's not, you wrote, and I quote, I gave her one job, and she acts like it's Goldman Sachs. Her one job was managing $800 million in assets. You just didn't know it. James felt his face burn. You also wrote, she doesn't understand business, never will. This about a woman with a PhD from Wharton who published in peer-reviewed journals. Dr. Hayes looked at him over her glasses. You didn't think she couldn't understand business. You couldn't accept that she understood it better than you. Nicole spoke for the first time. Dr. Hayes will testify that you pose a continued threat to any woman, particularly women of color, in positions of power. She'll recommend maximum sentencing. You're trying to bury me. I'm trying to protect the next woman you target. Nicole leaned forward. Because you will target someone. Men like you always do. You'll find another woman to make small, so you can feel big. Patricia pulled out her own folder. I've been contacted by 3 other women, former colleagues of yours. They're willing to testify about your pattern of behavior, harassment, dismissal, microaggressions. I never harassed. You told Keisha Monroe her natural hair was unprofessional. Patricia's voice was steel. You told Maria Santos she got promoted because of diversity quotas, not merit. You told me I should smile more in meetings because I looked angry. James's throat closed. All of them are willing to testify. All of them have documentation, emails, witness statements. Patricia smiled. Wasn't kind. You're not just going down for fraud, James. You're going down as a cautionary tale. Zara spoke for the first time. Her voice was young but steady. My mom showed me your emails, the ones about her. Everyone looked at the girl. She wanted me to see what happens when you let someone treat you bad. She said you made her feel small, made her hide who she was. Zara looked at James. She told me to never let anyone do that to me. Ever. Nicole put her arm around her daughter, pride in her eyes. Thank you, sweetheart. That's exactly right. James felt something break inside him. Not his heart. Something deeper. His last illusion that he'd been anything other than exactly what they were saying. "Are we done?" he managed. Almost. Nicole pulled out one more document. "This is a restraining order. You're not allowed within 500 feet of me, Zara, Patricia, or any TechVantage employee. Violation means immediate arrest." She slid it across the table. "Sign it." James signed. "You can go now." He stood, legs barely working. "James." He turned. Nicole was looking at him. Really looking at him. "I hope prison gives you time to think. Time to understand what you did. Not just the fraud, the erasure, the cruelty, the way you made me disappear." Her eyes were wet, but she didn't cry. "I hope you come out different, better, because the man you are right now," she shook her head, "he's not worth saving." James left, took the bus back to the motel. Lay on the bed, stared at the ceiling. 6 more weeks until sentencing. 6 more weeks of being the villain in Nicole Washington's hero story. 6 more weeks until the cage door closed and the world moved on without him. And the worst part? He finally understood. She was right. All of it. Every word. He wasn't worth saving. Not yet. Maybe not ever. 6 weeks crawled by like 6 years. James worked the diner, cleaned tables, took abuse from customers who recognized him, saved every dollar for what came next. He tried to write a letter to Nicole, threw it away. Tried again, threw it away. What could he say? Sorry didn't cover it. Nothing covered it. The night before sentencing, James couldn't sleep. Lay on the motel bed counting ceiling tiles. 47. Same as his age. Felt like an omen. His phone buzzed. Text from Michael Torres. "Wear the suit. Say nothing unless the judge asks you directly. I'll try for 5 years. Expect 7. Be ready." 7 years. James would be 54 when he got out. Everything would be gone. Career, reputation, youth, everything. He closed his eyes, tried to pray. Couldn't remember how. Morning came too fast. James put on the cheap suit, looked in the mirror. Didn't recognize himself anymore. Gray at the temples, lines around his eyes. 50 pounds lighter. He looked like his father. Looked old. The courthouse was packed. James walked in with Torres. Cameras everywhere. "Mr. Davidson, any last words before sentencing? Do you regret your crimes? How does it feel knowing your ex-wife is worth $3 billion now?" Torres pushed through. They made it to the courtroom. The gallery was full. James saw faces he recognized. Former colleagues. People he'd screwed over. All here to watch him fall. Front row. Nicole. Zara. Patricia. Arthur Vance. Dr. Sharon Hayes. Second row. Amber. Looking different. Hair shorter. No makeup. Plain clothes. She met his eyes. No hatred. Just sadness. Third row. Keisha Monroe. Maria Santos. Other women he'd dismissed. All here. Fourth row. His mother. His sister. No father. They'd come, but they sat far back. Distance between them and him. Judge Brennan entered. Everyone stood. "Be seated. United States versus James Davidson. Sentencing hearing." The prosecutor stood. Candace Williams. She'd been waiting for this. "Your Honor, the United States recommends maximum sentencing. Mr. Davidson stole $8.3 million from his wife's family trusts. He defrauded his company. He engaged in identity theft. He showed no remorse until he was caught." She pulled out a folder. We have victim impact statements from Ms. Nicole Washington, Ms. Amber Collins, and 3 former colleagues. We also have expert testimony from Dr. Sharon Hayes regarding Mr. Davidson's pattern of narcissistic abuse. Judge Brennan nodded. I'll hear the victim statements. Nicole stood, walked to the witness stand, placed her hand on the Bible, swore to tell the truth. She looked at James. He couldn't look away. Your Honor, James Davidson stole from me. But the money isn't what hurt. Money can be replaced. What he stole was 15 years of my life. Her voice was steady, strong. He made me small, made me invisible, made me apologize for being intelligent, for being successful, for being black and daring to have opinions. Someone in the gallery gasped. He married me for optics, kept me around as proof he wasn't racist, then called me diversity behind my back, called me furniture, called me limited. Nicole's hands gripped the rail. I have a PhD from Wharton. I published research that cited in economics textbooks. I managed $2 billion in assets while he thought I was planning charity events. And every day, I made myself stupider to make him comfortable. Judge Brennan was writing, taking notes. The money he stole? That was my father's legacy. My father who died of cancer, who built that wealth to help black communities. James took it and spent it on a mistress, on fake business accounts to make himself look important, on a life he couldn't afford without me. Nicole looked at Zara in the gallery. Her daughter nodded. I have a daughter now. I adopted her while James was cheating. She asks me why I stayed so long. I tell her I was afraid. Afraid of being alone. Afraid of admitting failure. Afraid of being the angry black woman who couldn't make her marriage work. She turned back to James. I'm not afraid anymore. I'm angry. Righteously angry. And I want this court to send a message that men like James Davidson don't get to destroy women and walk away. That theft is theft. That fraud is fraud. That consequences are real. She stepped down. Amber was next. She looked terrified. Her lawyer walked her to the stand. Your Honor, I'm Amber Collins. I was Mr. Davidson's mistress. Her voice shook. He told me he loved me. Told me his wife was cold, didn't understand him. He gave me a job, a condo, made me feel special, important. I believed him. Tears started falling. I was 26, stupid, ambitious. I saw a successful older man and thought he saw something in me. But he didn't. He saw a prop, another way to feel powerful, a way to prove he could still get a young white woman, even though he was married to a black woman. Judge Brennan's eyes narrowed. I participated in fraud. I know that. I accepted money I didn't earn. I'm cooperating with the FBI because it's the right thing. And because... Amber's voice broke. Because Ms. Washington showed me what real strength looks like. What real intelligence looks like. And I will spend the rest of my life trying to be half the woman she is. She stepped down, collapsed into her seat. Her lawyer handed her tissues. Keisha Monroe went next, then Maria Santos, each one describing James's pattern, the dismissals, the microaggressions, the casual cruelty. By the time they finished, the courtroom was silent, heavy. Judge Brennan looked at James. Mr. Davidson, stand. James stood, legs shaking. Do you have anything to say before I impose sentence? Torres whispered. Keep it short. Apologize. Show remorse. James opened his mouth. The words he'd practiced evaporated. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to Nicole, to Amber, to everyone I hurt. I was arrogant, selfish. I thought I was better than everyone. I was wrong. His voice cracked. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just I want you to know I understand now. What I did, what I was, and I'm sorry." He sat down. Judge Brennan shuffled papers, looked at her notes, looked at James. "Mr. Davidson, in 30 years on this bench, I've seen many criminals, murderers, drug dealers, thieves. And you know what the worst ones have in common?" She paused. "They don't see their victims as people. They see them as objects, obstacles, things to be used." She leaned forward. "You saw your wife as an object, a trophy, a shield against accusations of racism. You saw your mistress as a toy, a way to feel young. You saw your colleagues as competition to be eliminated. You saw everyone as supporting characters in the story of James Davidson." Her voice got harder. "But you were never the protagonist, Mr. Davidson. You were the villain. And unlike the movies, villains don't get redemption arcs. They get consequences." She picked up her gavel. "On 12 counts of wire fraud, 7 years federal prison to run concurrent. On 4 counts of embezzlement, 5 years concurrent. On 2 counts of identity theft, 3 years concurrent. Total sentence, 7 years in federal correctional facility. No possibility of parole. Restitution of $8.3 million to be paid from any future earnings. Permanent restriction from employment in financial services or executive positions." The gavel fell. 7 years. James's legs gave out. He sat down hard. Torres was saying something, but James couldn't hear him. Blood rushing in his ears. 7 years. He'd be 54. Old, broken, unemployable. Nicole stood, gathered Zara, walked out without looking back. Patricia followed, then Arthur, then the other women. The gallery emptied. Left James sitting at the defendant's table, alone. Marshals appeared, put him in handcuffs. "Let's go, Davidson." They let him out through a side door. No cameras, no spectators, just a white van with barred windows. Federal Correctional Institution, Talladega, Alabama. Medium security. The van ride took 4 hours. James sat in chains, watched Atlanta disappear in the rearview mirror. Processing took 3 hours. Strip search, medical exam, psych eval, uniform issued, bedding issued, cell assignment, cell block D, 3rd tier. James walked past inmates who stared, sized him up, decided he wasn't a threat. His cellmate was already there. Black guy, 50s, reading a book. "You the fraud guy? Rich white dude who stole from his black wife?" Word traveled fast. "Yeah. Name's Marcus. Marcus Johnson. Wire fraud, too. Got 3 years, 8 months left." He went back to his book. James climbed onto the top bunk. Metal frame, thin mattress, scratchy blanket. This was home now. 7 years of this. 18 months later, the world had moved on. Moved past James Davidson, like he'd never existed. TechVantage Solutions was thriving. Stock price up 300%. Revenue doubled. Named one of Fortune's best companies to work for. Nicole Washington was on the cover of Forbes, the billionaire who rebuilt an empire. Net worth, $3.2 billion. Washington Legacy Fund had acquired 4 more companies, all profitable, all restructured with diversity initiatives. She was on the cover of Essence, the queen who took her crown back, photographed with Zara, both smiling, both radiant. She was on the cover of Time, 100 most influential people, next to politicians and activists and CEOs who'd changed the world. Inside FCI. Talladega. James read about it in the prison library. Old magazines, donated, pages torn. But he read every word. Nicole had launched the Harold Washington Scholarship Fund. Full rides to MIT for black girls in STEM. First class, 20 girls. Zara cut the ribbon at the ceremony. She'd published a book, Hiding in Plain Sight, A Black Woman's Journey from Erasure to Empire. #1 bestseller. Movie rights sold. She'd given the commencement speech at Spelman, standing ovation. Young black women crying in the audience, seeing themselves in her. She'd testified before Congress about diversity in tech, about pay equity, about the barriers black women face in corporate America. Her testimony went viral, sparked legislation. She'd become everything James had tried to keep her from being. Everything she'd always been. Just visible now. Patricia Blackwell was CEO of TechVantage now. Nicole had stepped back to focus on Washington Legacy Fund. Patricia was crushing it. Stock price kept climbing. Amber Collins had gone back to school. Community college, then State University, then graduate school. MBA. She'd written an op-ed in the New York Times. I was the other woman in a fraud case. Here's what I learned. The piece went viral. Speaking invitations, podcast interviews, a TED Talk about complicity and redemption. She'd apologized publicly to Nicole. Nicole had responded with grace, said everyone deserves a second chance if they do the work. Amber was doing the work. Even his mother had changed. She'd started volunteering with the Harold Washington Scholarship Fund, mentoring young black girls, trying to make amends for raising a son who saw black women as objects. Everyone was moving forward. Everyone except James. He worked in the prison kitchen, 12 cents an hour. Saved it for commissary, ramen, soap, stamps to write letters nobody answered. He'd written to Nicole once, apologizing, explaining, begging. She'd never responded. He'd written to his mother, his sister. They wrote back occasionally, short letters, polite, distant. His father never wrote, never visited. James was dead to him. Marcus Johnson got released, 8 months in, just like he'd said. Shook James's hand on the way out. Good luck, man. You got a long road. Yeah. Can I give you advice? Sure. Stop thinking you're the victim. You're not. You're the guy who created victims. Until you really get that, you'll never change. Marcus left. New cellmate moved in. Young white guy. Embezzlement. Cocky. Reminded James of himself. This place is bullshit, the kid said. I didn't even steal that much. My boss was cool with it. James didn't respond. You get it, right? We're just guys who got caught. Everybody steals. We just got unlucky. James looked at him. Really looked at him. Saw himself at 35. Arrogant. Entitled. Certain the rules didn't apply. No, James said. We're guys who stole, who hurt people, who thought we were special. We weren't unlucky. We were criminals. The kid scoffed. Whatever, old man. But James knew, finally knew. Marcus was right. He wasn't the victim. He was the villain who got caught. And the world was better without him in it. 2 years into his sentence, James got a visitor. First one in months. He walked into the visiting room. Saw her. Nicole. His heart stopped. She looked different. Older, but good, confident. She wore jeans and a sweater. No Tom Ford suit. No armor. Just herself. They sat across from each other. Phone receivers between them. Glass wall separating them. Why are you here? James asked. I don't know. Nicole's voice was softer than he remembered. Closure, maybe. Curiosity. Zara asked if I still hated you. I realized I don't know. Do you? She thought about it. No, I don't hate you, James. I pity you. That hurt worse than hate. How's Zara? She's thriving. Honor roll. Science fair winner. She wants to study aerospace engineering. She's extraordinary. Pride in her voice. Love. How's the company? TechVantage is Patricia's now. I'm focused on Washington Legacy. We just closed a deal on a logistics firm in Singapore. $400 million. She said it casually, like it was nothing. I saw your book. Did you read it? Library has it. Waiting list is 6 months long. Nicole smiled slightly. What did you think? Of the excerpt in Forbes? I think you told the truth. And I'm sorry. For all of it. Are you? Sorry? Or just sorry you're in here? James didn't answer immediately. Thought about it. Really thought. Both. I'm sorry I'm here. I'm sorry I lost everything. But I'm also sorry for what I did to you. For making you small. For not seeing you. For... His voice cracked. For wasting 15 years of your life. Nicole's eyes were wet. You didn't waste them, James. I built an empire during those 15 years. I just did it in secret. Those years made me who I am. Made me strong. Made me strategic. Made me ruthless when I needed to be. She wiped her eyes. So thank you, actually, for being exactly who you were. You gave me the perfect villain origin story. And villains make the best heroes. James laughed. Bitter. Broken. I was never the hero. No, you weren't. She stood up. Visit over. But maybe you can be better than the villain, if you try, if you actually change. Do you think I can? Nicole looked at him, really looked at him, like she used to, before everything. I think you're capable of change. Everyone is. Whether you do it, that's on you. She hung up the phone, walked toward the door, stopped, turned back, picked up the phone again. James? Yeah? I met someone, a professor, economics. He's kind. He sees me, really sees me. We're getting married next month. James's chest tightened. I'm happy for you. Are you? Yes, really. You deserve happiness. Nicole smiled, genuine this time. I know. That's why I'm taking it. She hung up, left. James sat there, watched her walk away, watched her leave the building, watched her get into a car where a man was waiting, saw him kiss her, saw her smile, saw her drive away. And for the first time in 4 years, James felt something that wasn't self-pity. He felt genuinely happy for her. Maybe that was progress. Maybe that was the beginning of change. Or maybe it was just the last ember of the man he could have been. Either way, it was too late. 5 years left. 5 years to figure out who James Davidson would be when he got out. If anyone would care. If he'd even recognize himself. The guard called time. Visiting hours over. James walked back to his cell, climbed onto his bunk, stared at the ceiling. Somewhere in New York, Nicole Washington was ringing the opening bell at the stock exchange. Washington Legacy Capital's latest acquisition. Cameras flashing. Zara by her side. Her fiancé in the gallery. Patricia. Arthur. Everyone who mattered. Somewhere in Atlanta, young black girls were getting scholarship notifications. Full rides. Dreams coming true. Because Nicole had turned her pain into power. Somewhere in America, women were reading her book, seeing themselves, Finding courage to leave bad marriages. Finding courage to stop being small. Finding courage to take up space. Somewhere in the world, Nicole Washington was changing things. And in a cell in Alabama, James Davidson was changing nothing. He'd stolen from a queen and wondered why she took his kingdom. He'd dismissed a genius and wondered why she outsmarted him. He'd made her invisible and wondered why no one saw him anymore. The answer was simple. She was always visible. He just refused to see. And now, finally, after everything, James Davidson understood the truth. Nicole Washington didn't destroy him. He destroyed himself. She just made sure everyone else could see it.